Welcome to another edition of Whiskey, Games, and Nerd Stuff. Today's whiskey is we have some of this delicious Oilfire rye whiskey and liqueur, and I've got a shot or a shot and a half in my coffee. Let's go ahead and take a sip. That is as good as I thought it would be. I knew this would be a good mix. Sometimes I'm hesitant to waste good whiskey and coffee, but sometimes when you want a cup of coffee in the morning, you just want a little kick to it as well. And today's nerd stuff is we're going to do a playthrough of one round of coffee roaster. So I've done a couple of videos in the past for those that hadn't seen them. Basically, coffee roaster is where you make coffee. And you can do just one particular round, or you can do 3 brews to complete a round. In this particular case, we're just going to do one round. The one round will be the Sao Paulo, Brazil. So what will happen is, when you get these cards, you start off with, this is the number you start with, 13 zeros, 3 beans, 3 waters, one of these, and then you get the red, yellow, green. These are the flavor ones. And it gives you a total of 27 pieces, in this particular case, that you'll put in a bag, this particular bag. And then what you're trying to do through however many rounds, you want to score the perfect brew. And in this particular case, we are trying to get to 14 points. So what will happen is we will draw these. Each round, they will brew. So the coffee beans will, start to cook. And if you overcook them, it's a bad thing. If you undercook them, that could be a bad thing as well. But what you're trying to do at the end of the day is get to that perfect brew when you do the points. So we'll go ahead and start. So what will happen is we are on the first round, as indicated by this card. We start with number 8. Number 8 is how many of these tokens we will draw out. So on our first pull, we do a blind pull. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then what happens is we'll put the bag off to the side. So then what we do is we've got a couple options. We'll put stuff in the bag. Now what happens is when we decide to put these back in the bag, in this particular case, I'm just going to put this 0 over here, and I'll explain why later. So I'm going to take these 3. These 3 will go back in the bag, but when I put them back in the bag, they're going to go in as 1 because these beans have cooked. So we put these zeros in the tray. These 3 will go into 1. My score will go up to 3, and the reason you want to do 3 is you want to do the score tracker, is it helps you get a better idea of where you're going to be on that perfect roast. Then we decide, do I want to do anything with these? I don't particularly want to do anything with these, but what I can do is I can turn this into a 0 and put that back in the bag. Now I've got a choice of, do I want to do anything with the flavor ones? The flavor ones will give us abilities later on to unlock these particular game pieces, but for this particular brew, we get additional points if we end up with 2 flavor points, 2 of the blue, and 1 of the green flavor points. So what I'm going to do is, let's go ahead and put, we'll put this green one right here. This green one will give us the ability, when we get a red, to use this tray piece. This tray piece is going to give us some extra holders later on. For right now, I'm not going to use this blue. I want to keep that blue in the bag, so I will go ahead and put this bag in. We move this up 1 round. We shake up the bag. Let's go ahead and take a sip real quick. That is so good. And then this time we will pick 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now what we're going to decide to do is we're going to look at these. We are going to turn these zeros into 1s. So let's put those back in the bag. And we don't want to forget to move our score up because it helps us keep track. We want to turn this 1 into a 2. And that's going to go up 1. We've got this that we can turn into a 0. We'll put that in the bag. This we don't want to use. And now we have a decision to make. So we've got these flavor pieces, and we've got those 2 blues. I can later on use this for something else, but right now I want to keep that because I only have 2 of these greens. One of the greens we've already used here. One I'm going to need for a flavor point, so I'm going to put that back in here. We have a total of 3 of these blues. Now, one of these blues I can go ahead and use. So I'm going to go ahead and put it over here so we can go towards this particular game piece, and we'll put this back in. Now what happens is we're going to go to 10. Now what's interesting that happens on this particular one is we get one of these smoke pieces that we have to put in, and then everything we draw is going to go to 2 roasts. So what'll happen is your 0s go to 2, your 1s go to 3, your 2s go to 4, and etc. And if something goes beyond a 4, it will burn the next round. So we don't want that to happen. So the next round we'll pick 10. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now the good thing is here when we draw these waters, we can put those, get rid of those. So now we've got to figure out what we're going to do. All right, well first, these we'll put back in the bag because we don't want these. We know we need to save this for next time, so I'm going to go ahead and put this back in the bag. These will turn into 2s because they're going to do 2 full roasts. So we'll put those back in the bag. Now we're going to go up 6 points. So we're going to be at 13. So right now we want to be at 14 for that perfect brew. So we're within about 1 of that perfect brew. This I'm going to go ahead and put here. So that gives us this game piece. This game piece then allows us to be any of these 3 things that we want it to be, which is really good. We'll put the blue back in. We are going to do 1 more round. So this time we're going to pick 11 pieces. And we're probably going to go ahead and try or make our cup of coffee after this, depending on what we draw. So let's go ahead and get 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, great. So this is actually a pretty good one. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put this red piece here. This red piece here allows us to have this in our coffee cup. This coffee cup, this particular piece lets us be any of our flavor points. So it'll be the green or one of those 2 blues, which helps us out. Let me go ahead and take a sip. So good. We're going to go ahead and put the red piece here. This red piece allows us to take this game piece, which lets us go to 3 extra spaces, and this will kind of come in handy a little bit later on. The 0 will turn into a 1, and we'll go ahead and go up to 14. These 2 0s become a 1, and now we are at 16. These become a 2. So we will go up to 18. Now we have a choice to make. I can turn 2 of these into 1 number. So we've got to decide, or sorry, I can turn 1 into 2. So I've got to decide, and right now we've got 18 total points. We only need 14. So what I'm going to do to kind of make this easier, I'm going to break up this 2 into 1 piece, or sorry, into 2 1s. Put those in the bag. I use this. Put that back in, and this is going to turn into a 3. So what's going to happen is we now have a total of 19 points. We don't want 19 points. And so here's what we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead. We have to keep drawing now that we're stopping. We've got to draw pieces out of this until we fill up our coffee pot. And then at the end of the day, we want our score to only be 14 to get the perfect brew. So let's go ahead and take a sip. Shake up our bag. Okay, the first thing we drew is a 1. So Right now we have 1 point. We want to get to 14 points. Next one is a 1, so that's 2 points. Now we got 12 more to go. So we need 12 more points within these things. So let's go ahead and take another one. We want to get some of these higher scores in here if we can. We got a 0. We don't want the 0 right now, so we put it in this. This is kind of like a safe spot. Take another piece. We'll put that 0 there. Let's get another one. Okay, great. We don't want these because these are negative points, so we will automatically put these in these safe spots. Now, we need a green for our flavor, so we definitely want that there. So that gives us the green we want. We have a 1. Now, we got to be careful because we know there's a total of 19 points out there. We've got 3 points right now. That means that there's 16 points left. We want to try and get to that perfect 14. So if there's 16 left and we need 11 points, right? Because we want to get to that score of 14. So if we go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, we can go 2, 4, 6, 8, 11. So if we can get a 2, 2, 2, 3, that should work out. I don't believe we have any 4, so let's go ahead and see what we've got. All right. We should have a 3 in here, and we should have some of those 2. So I'm going to go ahead and put this 1 right here. And we're going to keep drawing, and hopefully, all right, this is going to get, so what will happen is once we use these spots up, whatever we draw, we have to put here, and we kind of get stuck with it. So let's hope we can start drawing something better. Okay, great. There's a 3. So now we're at 1, 2, 3, 6. We just need 8 more. So if we can see if we can get another 3 in here. Darn it, it's a 0. All right, now here's what we don't want to have happen. I know there's more of these burnt pieces in here. Those burnt pieces give us negative points. So now I'm kind of stuck where I have to put a 0 in here, but I don't want to. We probably should have went one more round, or I should have condensed down some pieces. Okay, so we have a 2. So now we're at 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, if we can get 2 3s, that would be perfect. So let's hope we can draw 2 3s. Darn it. We're not gonna do this one. I messed up. So now that this is filled up, and the reason that you wanted this tray is it would give you these 3 extra spots. So now I have to put whatever I draw here. So let's go ahead and take a sip. All right, this is not gonna work out good for us. So let's take a sip before we count the score. So once you decide to pour your cup of coffee, this is what you're stuck with. And this is why these pieces come in handy. This one would give us that flavor point of any 1. This one gave us the opportunity to get 3 more pieces. This one would let us take out 2 things in the bag and pull 3 new ones. This one allows us to switch stuff, or allow us to pull 2 instead of 1 each time. But we'll go ahead and, first what we want to do is we want to count up our score. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll just double check one more time. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. So a 9 roast points gets us nothing. So we need to at least get to 11 to get any points. So we got 0 flavor points. So, or sorry, 0 roast points. So when we go to here, with that number spread, we didn't get anything. So we have no points. Our flavor points on this particular card, we needed a green and 2 blues. We got a green and 2 blues because we can count these as each other. So we did get all the flavor points. We got 3 flavor points that we needed, which gave us 6 points. Now you have what's called the skill points. The skill points is how many of the same number do you have? Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 ones. That gives us 4 points. So now we have 4 and the 6, so we're at 10. And then there is going to be minus points. If you have any of these, you get minus points. Right now, we didn't have any minus points. So unfortunately, this is probably one of the worst scores that I've had because all we've gotten was the 6 there and the 4 there. Now, when we've done this, let's go ahead and pull what we have left in the bag. So had we originally pulled, let's say, let's move 2 of these. Let's get and pretend like these were 2s that we drew. Then we would have had 2, 4, 5, 8, 10, 11. 11 would have given us 4 points. If we would have had that, it would have been 2, 4, 6, 8, 11, 12. 12 would have given us 4 points. And then, of course, we had the skill point. So what I should have done is I should have let those roast a little bit longer. I should have done one more turn. We didn't have enough 3s in here to make it worthwhile. Yeah, I should have probably done 1 or 2 more turns on this, or should have used some of the other pieces. Not the best gameplay. Definitely, I think this is probably one of my worst performances. So, of course, I'll put it on YouTube. But this was a quick round of Coffee Roaster. And normally what you can do when you play this, you saw how quickly the game went, is you can just sit and play this and enjoy a cup of coffee. And traditionally what you would do is you would pull 3 of these scores. And what will happen is, let me go ahead and pull out of here. You will have all these recipes to choose from. So as you can see, there are plenty of these recipes. And they have them in beginner, expert, and they have different kind of light roast, dark roast. It even comes with this cool score system that you can keep track of for each round of the roast. And then, like I do in most games, I will go ahead and just write in a box what my score is so I know how I've done. I really enjoy this game. This game's a lot of fun. It's one of those things that I always enjoy when I play it. Thought I would go ahead and share this again and remind you of the Oilfire whiskey, and it was definitely good in the coffee. So far, I think of all the coffees and the whiskeys I've mixed with my morning coffee, I think this by far is my favorite Saturday morning coffee shot. So until next time, cheers.